Welcome everybody. I'm glad to have with me today Will Smith. And Will, you have been with the Lawrence County school systems for some time now. And we was talking about Mr. Carswell off camera a while ago, but I love when I'm in the school to watch you, I guess, carry on the camaraderie between you and the students. And I think it's so important. Kids this day especially need a good friend, don't they?
Yes, I truly believe in building relationships with my students, all students, either the ones that teach and the ones that do not come in my classroom. I think is very important in order for me to engage with them.
When Eddie Morris came, Eddie and I grew up together. We both know him, and I remember when he came to East Lawrence, became principal several years ago. I remember he did something I thought was wonderful, but he put the teachers on a bus and took them in all the neighborhoods and showed the teachers where the kids are coming from. And that really impressed me, and I know you as an educator believe the same way, but you gotta meet people where they are.
Most definitely.
And you gotta know where they're coming from to understand where maybe they're acting out, maybe they're doing things, it's just not the way you do things, but don't you think that you have to meet these students exactly where they are and then go from there?
Oh, most definitely. I think it's a new generation that we're dealing with, a new generation not only of students but parents. And it's very vital and important for us to go out there and reach out to them, meet them where they're at in their environment, and to get a feel for it so we can build those relationships and know who is coming through those doors each and every morning so that we can assist them not only with academics but anything else that is required of them.
Well, this is Father's Day week, and I know to both of us it's a special time, not because my kids know I don't want a thing. I remember last year I told them, I said, listen, don't you dare buy me nothing, but here's what I want. Sunday, I want every one of you, every single one of you, all the grandkids, everybody, I want you in church. And we feel like 3 pews that week, and the pastor said, well, I guess the Deals won the award today for the most people, but I didn't know what was going to come out of it. But my dad called me later that day. He said, I don't know how you done it, son, but you got all the kids and the grandkids and his great-grandkids at church, and I didn't realize at the time what it was going to mean to my dad. Yes. But I thank God every day I still have my dad and mom because I have so many friends that have lost their parents. Yes. And it's such a special Father's Day to me, knowing that I still have my dad. But what does it feel like from you to actually be a dad and to have children that I know they're getting older, but they always need dad?
Oh yes, it's an awesome feeling. It's a blessing to be able to have kids and see them grow and mature and become successful in whatever environment they choose. And over the years, I've had opportunity to watch all 5 of our kids, 2 sons and 3 daughters, do phenomenal things within our family and outside, and learn to just understand what morals and values are, and be loving and give back to the community and to their friends, and treat people the way we've been raised to treat people the way we want to be treated, and with respect at all times. Yeah. And so it's an awesome thing, just to have 5 kids, then have 4 grandkids with 1 on the way. And so that is awesome. I love it. We just had our granddaughter with us this weekend, and it's just awesome. So I love that feeling and just being around family for some time.
Oh, I agree. Family is incredible. Yes. And then those grandkids come along. Of course, I used to do everything with my kids, but when my oldest son, when Jeff turned 16, it's like I went through this state of depression. It's like the kids didn't need me anymore. And then his sister turned 16 2 years later, and where we went everywhere. I took them to the movie, I took them to the friends, we did all these things together, and all of a sudden they don't need me to do those things. There's other things, but But I did. When I counsel with parents and talk to them, I said, look, it's a normal thing. Because we build our lives around our children. Yes. So much that a lot of times, I know I did, I erred here, but it's like you and your spouse don't focus on yourself because both of you are focused on the kids, and that's a tough balancing act. What would you say to that parent watching now that is doing the same thing? They're running a travel ball, they're going here, church events. What do you say to that parent to help them balance that?
Well, one of the biggest things, and I agree with you, that as parents we tend to forget about ourselves. For me, I've always learned, based on my mom when she was here, that, sacrifice, that's a big word. When you have kids, you basically put yourself on the back burner, so you want to be able to provide for them, be the example for them. But in the end, as they grow older, and you've instilled everything in them, they know right from wrong, try to find that balance of, finding you, getting back to you, and, in bits and pieces, because regardless of how old they get, they're going to always call them mom and dad. Yeah. And so, as parents, we always like, here you again, they're calling, what do you need now? But as parents, you don't want your kids to go without. Yeah. It's a blessing to be, to bless them and see them grow and the grandkids. Yeah. But don't ever forget about yourself. Take time to, just the other day I went to the spa. I just wanted to relax a little bit and find some time for me. But that gave me a chance, just to get back to me. But at the same time, nevertheless, I just feel like, every time I'm blessed to be, wake up and be able to move and have functioning and my, my body, functions and things of that nature, I tend to just say, what is it that they expect of me to be example, and am I willing to sacrifice, in which I am, because my mom did it for me.
Yeah. Amen. Nothing like good parents. There's nothing like good parents. I believe we were both blessed with that. So we're going to take a break. We'll come back right after this.
You've dreamed about the perfect house, a place to call your own, and a place to not only stretch out, but to grow. Auto Owners protects your house because to you, it's home. That's simple human sense.
Ask Curry Maffett Insurance in Dublin if Auto Owners make sense for you.
Happy to help, man. I was just over there talking to myself anyway.
Hi, I'm Dr. Dustin Gay. I'm a local orthopedic surgeon with Houston Clinic Orthopedics, and we'd really like to invite everybody to come out to our new office facility to take a look at it. It's a larger space with physical therapy, and we're just excited to have it, and we'd love for people to come out and visit us.
Come by and see us today at our brand new location, the Houston Clinic, Medical Drive in Dublin.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm continuing my conversation this Father's Day week with Will Smith. And so we talked about your kids, but what about your dad? Talk about him.
Oh, man.
Need all day?
I could. And it's special because my dad was not always in my life. Mm-hmm. And I will say this as an adult now, a lot of times when, parents are not always in the kids' lives growing up, we don't know as kids why. But my dad is phenomenal. I love him. He actually lives in Alabama, and we have this Georgia-Alabama thing about going on and riffing at home. But he's retired, and he wasn't always in my life, but the things that he did when we did get together was enough to show me what I needed to do or what I didn't need to do. And so he and I pretty much talk every week. Once or twice a week, I'll give him a call just to check up on him. And he's always saying he's sitting on the front porch, because he told me when he was going to retire, he's going to sit on the front porch and watch the cars go by. And so when I call him, a lot of times he's sitting on the front porch and watching the cars go by and just enjoying life. And I told him, so one day, Dad, I'm going to get there. And so hopefully soon, in another week or so, in the next month, I'll try to get down there and visit him and see how he's doing.
So he's an Alabama fan.
Most definitely. He loves that Roll Tide stuff. And so when he came, he was just up last November, last November, and we had an opportunity to watch a few Georgia games, and he did not enjoy that at all.
No.
But, Yeah, most definitely. I nailed him to the wall, and then when we won the championship once again, he could not brag. He had to humble down.
Well, he ought to be proud of us. We've got an Alabama boy coaching for us now and brought that winning attitude, and so he ought to pull for us a little bit. Kirby Smart.
Not whatsoever.
He can't pull for us.
Not my dad. And
Yeah.
I won't pull for Tide either.
I get it. I got dear friends that I love dearly, and they're Alabama fans, and I tell them, I said, I got to get you saved one day. I got to get you down to the altar and try to get you saved, because you pulling for Alabama, that's not going to go over good. So, but the camaraderie is
Yes,
good.
yes.
It's a football game, and it's just like growing up here. You know, I went to East Lawrence, had dear friends that graduated from Dublin or West, and you know, we go to the ball game, and we pull for our team. When it's over, we'd all go out and eat together. It's just a ball game. And some people watching right now saying, "No, James is crazy." No, I don't like them Dublin Irish. I don't like whoever. But hey, it's one community.
Yes.
And we're, you know, you're talking about kids a while ago. They're all our kids.
Yes.
They're all our kids. And speaking of that, you know, the way we know how many prison beds to build is based on third grade reading levels.
Yes.
Did you read to your kids at a young age, and share with us as an educator how important that is?
Reading is important. I'll be honest. My mom, and I was telling my daughter yesterday, who's going to be a senior, she's a senior now, that we were not allowed to make a C in our home. And I remember my brother coming in, and he had a C on his card, and she told him, "If you come in this home again with a C, I'm going to send you to reform school." That's RYDC now.
Right.
And so my brother never did come back in home with
She
that.
meant it too,
She
didn't
meant
she?
it, most definitely. And I was scared, like, she's going to send him away. But to get back to your question, reading to my kids and even my grandkids is important, because when you start them off, they start to visualize and imagine the things that you're reading to them.
Yeah.
And that's important. For me, education was, you know, drilled in us by a mom, and she was going to let up. You know, you're going to school and you're going to do your work. And I love reading. I don't read as much as I used to, but as in education, if we can get kids started now, get books in their hands now at an early age, it's important, you know, not just pictures. Get them back to reading, get them back to writing. Those simple tasks, it's a lot of value in that based on our generation. And so there's a lot more things going on, but I think reading is the key to making sure that they understand, comprehend, and then they can be corrected where they can go out and be successful in life.
Yeah, reading. My 6-year-old just finished kindergarten, grandchild, and we were riding down the road the other day, and every sign he's reading to me. He's reading everything. You know, they do sight words in kindergarten, and he did 900 sight words this past year. Of course, his mom's a teacher. You can imagine how that. She used to make me mad with my oldest grandchild. She would not let him eat until he got all his sight words done. And I said, "Melanie, that's cruel. You ought not do that." It's not like he's starving.
Yes.
But before he got his favorite food, he was going to get those sight words, and it was a good incentive for him. But reading is so important. And I'm telling you, if you don't do it, I encourage a lot of you watching now, do it. But it's so much fun reading to them. And as they get older, I know with mine, as they get older, I'd read a page, they'd read a page.
Yes.
You know, we just swap it up. You got to read. And the children we're raising now, if they're not computer literate, because I've had to apologize to my typing teacher, Miss Lattimore, taught at East Lawrence, and we took typing. I said, "Miss Lattimore, I'm not going to be a secretary. I don't need to know how to type. Son, you're going to type."
Yes.
And back then, we didn't have letters on them. You had to know what keys you were hitting. Well, lo and behold, fast forward to today, and I stay on the keyboard most of my life.
Yes.
So we don't know, but having that education like your mom would accept to see, you don't know in life what
Correct.
you're going to use.
Most definitely. And I'll piggyback off of that is that, reading for our kids now in school, it's not how many books you read, how many words you read. It's that when you read it, you understand the content so you can comprehend it and so you can apply it. And I think sometimes we get caught up in, the competitive part of all these books we've read.
Yeah.
But then did you really understand the content? Did you comprehend it? And so a lot of times our kids' vocabulary may be limited because they did not comprehend the content of the books or the material that they're reading. So I encourage parents to make sure that when you're having your child to read, that, have them to break it down and understand what they're reading so they can apply it in life going forward. It raises their vocabulary level and their communication skills. It's important.
Absolutely. I caught myself, I used to read a Proverbs a day. There's 31 Proverbs, and you got one for every day. And I was big on it for a while, and I caught myself just going through the motions. Had to read Proverbs 10, whatever today is, and read that one. But you're right. It's better off to read one verse and comprehend it and use it than it is to read a whole chapter and just say, hey, I read Proverbs today. That's not doing any of us any good. No. We used to have bookmobiles when I was growing up. I don't see that anymore, but I remember, I laugh about this now, I was telling Beverly Brown, the head of the library in Lawrence County, she's a dear friend. I said, Beverly, every summer when the bookmobile come, I check out Gone with the Wind. You know how thick Gone with the Wind is. I just want to check the book out. And I'm 63, I've never read the book, but I checked it out every year just because this big old book looked interesting. But I do read, but I don't know how long Gone with the Wind is, probably several hundred pages thick as it is, but that's not one I can hang with. But I like 200 pages or less, But reading is so important, even as we get older, to keep the mind sharp, and we things now with dementia and Alzheimer's and things like that. If you can keep your mind active, it's not a cure-all, but I think it's so important, no matter what you do or who you are. Reading is fun. Reading is fun.
It is. I mean, I love to read when I do read.
Yeah.
And it helps me visualize and just takes me to places. I could not imagine coming from Florida when I was 7 years old, moving to Georgia, and then being in the position I'm in now. But when you have that structure and that discipline from a parent, that stresses the importance of reading and getting, academics taken care of, it takes you places. And it then afforded me an opportunity, not when I had an opportunity to grow and then go places from even serving in the military, being in college. I've had a chance to go all over the world. And that reading helped me understand the different cultures and things of that nature. And so it's like, it's beautiful. You get to see the art in reading when you just look around, and it's nice.
Yeah.
It's nice.
I agree. It's incredible. Well, we're going to take another break. We'll come back and wrap things up.
Father's Day is just around the corner. Better hurry to Roach Farm and Garden. It's Father's Day, and I know what Dad wants. A Bayou Classic, griddle, new grill, or smoker, in that order. Tired of seeing Dad in holey clothes and boots? Roach Farm and Garden has a great Carhartt and Georgia boot selection. It's Father's Day, and a new knife or flashlight never disappoints. Get to Roach Farm and Garden today. Does your dad hunt? Pick up some deer feed, corn, or salt blocks, or even trophy rocks. There's something for everyone at Roach Farm and Garden. 2 locations, Dublin and Wrightsville.
David sells cars well at Dublin Nissan.
Scott sells cars well at Dublin Nissan.
Dylan sells cars well at Dublin Nissan.
We do cars well every day at Dublin Nissan.
Welcome back, everybody. Going to wrap things up. I'm still talking with Will Smith. If you just joined us, we will air it again this week, or you can go to our YouTube channel at TV35 and watch it in its entirety. But Will, you served in the military. How important was that to your life?
Well, I tell you, in 1985, graduated from Waynesboro High School, I was thinking, what is it that I'm able to do if I'm not able to go into college right out of high school? And so myself and my first cousin, we went into the Marine Corps. And I served 4 years and he served 6 years. The Marine Corps elevated my discipline that I received from my mom. It elevated it to another level. And it provided me an opportunity to do the same things that she did for my 17 years before going in, was make a sacrifice. We didn't grow up with a lot, but we had each other. I had a brother and sister. I have a brother and sister. And so my thing was, no man in the house, what do I do? Well, I knew that if I went in the Marine Corps, every time I got paid twice a month, my mom, brother, and sister got paid. And so that I looked at it as not only an opportunity for me, but as an opportunity as a young man to make sure they were taken care of. That gave me another level of being able to go all over the world, travel, learn about different diversities and cultures, and then come back and say, you know what, I always wanted to go to Savannah State University, and I still got a chance to go to college at Savannah State. Even when I was 16 years old, I said that's what I was going to do. But Marine Corps provided me with an opportunity to understand character, integrity, respect, and sacrifice. And there's a brotherhood that I love, and being the elite.
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest things that I love about being a Marine.
Yeah, there's something to be said about it. Not only serving the country that we love,
Yes.
and you know, we have the VA hospital here, serves 49 counties from all over middle and east and south Georgia. But you know, I'm at the VA a lot, and I'll tell you, Will, every time I'm in there, I stand in awe of these are real heroes.
Yes.
This ain't politicians that beat their chest or whatever, but it's just incredible to be in the presence of these men that served our country, and the reason we enjoy the freedoms we do, like right now. You know, we're broadcasting on TV. Nobody's going to break in here and tell us, oh, you can't say that or you can't do this. We live in America.
Yes.
And people paid the ultimate price for us to have this.
Yes.
And it's so important. It had to feel, my best friend in the whole world went in the Marines. I won't never forget the day he left, and I sure did miss him. But buddy, when he came back home, it was like he was a man.
Yes.
I mean, he was a man. You know, he was serving in the United States Marines. And you're right, it is the elite.
It's one of those things whereas when you're coming from a small place like Midville, Georgia, and you know, you've been raised by a village,
yeah,
and it's like, what is it that's going to elevate you to the next level and provide you with an opportunity to be better? And that's what the Marine Corps did for me. Not only the Marine Corps, when I work with the Navy, when I work with, you know, Army and Air Force, it's always about we're one, providing something for our country. And when I even go out to the VA, I sometimes stand around and I look just like you. And I look around, I was like, wow. And so what is it that they had to risk, just like myself, so that we can have these freedoms? I think about when I met Colonel Bob Walker here, and we would do the Marine Corps breakfast during the Marine Corps birthday at the Golden Corral here. And when I see the ones that served in the Korean War, Vietnam War, and they tell their stories, it's phenomenal. And so I always say this, if a young man or a young lady does not have an idea what they want to do as career-wise, have options. Look at the military. It provides you a base, a solid base, and then it gives you an opportunity to go from there. You can do 20 years, or you can say, I'll do 4, 6 years, and then guess what? I've got the training, the learning, the discipline, and so now I can move on to the next level of my life. And so I love what it has done for me and my family.
Yeah, yeah, and a lot of kids now, you know, we do these salute to the graduates every year with the different high schools, and I love to hear the ones that, a lot of people going to college, and that's great, but college is not for everyone. Maybe Oconee Fall Line Technical College.
Yes.
Getting a degree in whatever that you want to do in life. Or I love when I hear the young man say, I want to be a lineman for Georgia Power.
Yes.
That commitment, no matter what you want to do, like you said in the Marines, it gives you that discipline to tackle life, because life is hard. Life is hard at times, and you got to be tough. So the Marines, the military, it gives you that foundation that most of our kids, like we did, we need that foundation.
Oh, yes.
because it is tough out there. Before we go, I want you to talk to that person that have just had children, and in the world that these kids now, that our grandkids are going to be raised in, is not the same world that we grew up in. It's changing right before our eyes. What advice would you give to that new parent right now?
First of all, it says, know that and trust that you're an imperfect parent. We all are imperfect people. We're going to make mistakes along the way. We don't know all the parenting skills. But when you see that beautiful baby birth in your arms, the father holding his first child or second child, whoever it may be, just look in those eyes and know that, you know what, all I have to do is sacrifice. Be the example. Do everything possible to make sure that they're provided for. I know sometimes we say we spoil our kids, but when you're blessed to be in a position to bless them, do just that. Raise them, allow the village, the correct village, to help you raise your kids. Don't ever say what your kids won't do. Don't ever say that. I don't say that about my kids. Make sure you let them know that you love them. Tell them that you love them. Hug on them. I know it's unusual these days for parents and guys to say, well, I love you. That's not. When they cry, it's okay to cry. It's all right to love on them, hold them, correct them when they make a mistake, and let them know why you correct them. And then I'll say this, don't be hearers, just hearing your kids. You got to be listeners.
Yes.
They are actually saying something. They want you to listen to them and be willing to talk with them and not talk at them. Parenting is fun, it's hard, but in the end, when you learn all those tricks of the trades that you've been taught and it worked for you, it'll benefit your kids. I'm sitting here because my mom showed tough love. My kids truly believe that that's all I do is show tough love. But at the end of the day, they understand this world doesn't owe you anything. You owe it to yourself. And so that means you got to give them everything straight up. Don't sugarcoat it so that they can be productive citizens in society and you can be proud of them, just like they're going to be proud of you for raising them the right way.
Absolutely. I believe the biggest form of child abuse is not discipline your children. We have to discipline our children. Yes. It may not mean a whipping, it may be other things this day and time, but we must discipline our kids. There has to be consequences. Yes. And I see kids that don't have that, and those are the troubled kids that we have to deal with as society. Yes. So it doesn't matter if you're a single parent, none of that matters. We've just heard Will's story about his mom, and I know it's Father's Day week, but she served both roles for many years. Yes. And obviously, she did a great job. So
my dad is still here, and I'll be calling him and going to visit him real soon. And I'll say this, when you're talking about disciplining your kids, it's okay. Yeah. It's okay, as long as you do it the right way and you talk with them about why you're doing it. And they're going to love you for it. In the long run, they may not like it now, but in the long run, when they see the greater good that comes out of it, and make sure you allow your kids to understand the word, God's word, the way we raise them up, because that's the way they're going to be. Yeah. And so if you instill that in them, they're going to be okay.
Yep, inerrant word of God, there's no doubt. And our dad was bad about saying, I say bad, good, whatever, but he'd tell us he was whipping us because he loved us. Yes. And I tell my brother and sister, he loves me way more than them. So I know I was telling him the other day, I said, Daddy, I know you love me more than my brother and sister. I know that because I was the oldest, and the oldest paves the way a lot of times. Yes. And the younger ones learn from those mistakes that I made, and people watching now, the oldest one, but we pave that road.
Most definitely.
And you mentioned the probing a while ago, we step on those landmines, proverbial. But you live and learn. Yes. Live and learn from your mistakes and move on, so they don't define you. You can move on from that. So great advice today. Will, thank you so much.
No, thank you very much for allowing me to be here, this opportunity. Imperfect people, we make mistakes, but we learn, that wisdom, you become wiser.
Amen.
And you become wiser, you share it.
Yeah.
So somebody else can learn and be better for it. And
Wow.
so thank you very much.
Absolutely. You're looking at two imperfect people here.
Yes.
So we appreciate you joining us today. Happy Father's Day.
Yes.